Alright guys, since Democracy 3 doesn't want to work for me, I'm just gonna go ahead and play Power and Revolution again. I'll try to see what's going on with Democracy 3, however, I don't know. I'll probably try to email their support team if I have to. What is going on, Gia? Welcome to the live stream. Today, actually, we are going to be playing as the Republic of Turkey. We're going to be returning to the Republic of Turkey. Is one of my most successful series. And
I must
something that Turkey's actually one of the most interesting countries in the world, honestly. Their stature in NATO and their differences with the European Union and NATO are very traumatic, and they actually can affect how NATO does their policy. And it's I actually figured something out. And in this live stream, I can actually move Turkey to become more of a democratic nation in this live stream. I can also move them to possibly join the European Union, which I actually know how to have them join the European Union. All I have to really do is just enact more freedoms and lower my inflation rate to under 1%. And once I get it under 1%, I can actually join the European Union. However, I do need a unanimous vote, so I would actually have to get Cyprus to help vote for me. However, I do have the votes of every other member of the European Union beside Austria. Our citizens are becoming more and more interested in the conquest of space. We should create a national space agency. It wouldn't be too costly for the government's finances. That is a lie. And it would send a modern image of our country and allow us to move closer to, even participate in, a greater space adventure. We can also move, that's what we're gonna really do in this live stream, is we can actually try to get, alright, we're gonna go for frequent and very repressive tax rate. We're gonna add it to a reform, and we're gonna increase the the value added tax by 0.25% to get the approval of the Justice and Development Party. We're just going to call this a simple tax reform. Go ahead and confirm that. We're going to go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and check the numbers. 54% is against it. 52% of the PMP, the Pioneering Muslim Party, or the Justice and Development Party, is actually against it. However, we can go ahead and increase the value added tax by 0.25%. That's going to generate $2.1 billion in revenue, and we're going to get immediate support from our party because they do like to increase that. Our goal for actually the value added tax is going to be possibly 20% up from 18%. And then we're going to reduce the middle bracket tax to 23%. And what else? 20% seems to be low enough, but we can go for more. And then we're going to go ahead and shoot for a straight 50% on the pornography industry. That's going to generate nearly $1 billion in revenue. And we immediately get the rest of the support of the other parties, except for the Central Alternatives Party, who did not like that. Speaking of Turkey, I am actually going to cover the Turkish election that's actually going to be held later this year. It is actually going to be held in June, I believe, or July. And I am definitely going to cover that election to see if Recep Tayyip Erdogan can actually win the support of the country and continue to lead the Republic of Turkey into the 2020s. I am going to try to see if I can actually get an actual Turkish person to actually help me cover that election. However, wow, we lost 3.8% in support because of those reforms I just enacted. We're going to go ahead and spend $1 billion on our police forces, and we're going to try to see how much support that can actually get me. 2.3% support was given to me. And then I'm going to go ahead and subsidize agriculture for $5 million each. We're going to look at our spending and expenditures. Revenue, we make $184 billion, and then we spend $192 billion. Just like every other country, for some reason, we have a deficit. South Korea is actually the only country I've ever played that actually does not have a deficit. However, making a series off of them is not going to be good, maybe, because honestly, for one, there's the threat of North Korea, and two, I don't like to play small but really, really developed countries. They're not fun. China, they're not developed, and they still have a lot of ways to go. Germany, the reason I stopped playing Germany and stopped the series on Germany is literally because there's just nothing to develop. They're developed, and there's maybe, yeah, you could probably go after Austria or something like that, but that's not really how I play. I could have stomped down on rights and stuff like that, gotten myself kicked out of the European Union, stuff like that. But honestly, it's not realism. And what I like to do in my series is to actually follow realism. If a country would actually do something like that, then I would do it. Just like Turkey, the Rise of Erdogan series. But there's just kind of like a thing that I like to follow in my games, and sometimes I just really don't like to. South Sudanese to the OECD, that is the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. Let's go ahead and accept them, even though we do not have good relations with them. Oh boy, there's a famine in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Let's go ahead and fund them $11 million. 40 people are now dead from that famine, and the numbers just keep increasing day by day. 78 to 130. Alright, there is an earthquake in Chile, 213 people are dead. And let's see our numbers for here. Our trade, we actually have a positive trade balance on the agricultural sector, even though we did subsidize them. We have a positive trade balance with the industry, the secondary sector, and service. We have a positive trade balance with the service sector, tertiary sector. However, look at this, 17.9% of our budget is actually being spent on debt interest rates. Let's go over to debt. We owe our allies $42 billion each, for the exception of India, who we owe $38 billion. Our next loan seems to be $1.92 billion. However, I am actually going to spend a little bit just because I really want to develop my energy sector and we may borrow maybe $10 billion for this, but I am actually going to develop our energy sector in the southern part of the country. We're going to borrow maybe $1 billion up to maybe $5 billion. Tax reform has been passed. And then debt. 192. We're about to borrow up to $2 billion because of this. And then let's try to see what our wind power can actually look like in the southern part of this country. Oops, I accidentally accepted that. Alright, let's go. Here, I do not have the technology to actually build, nuclear power plants. However, I do have the technology to actually build, some oil rigs, and we can actually develop our, oil sector, which we have a lot of oil that we can actually go after. So let's build another oil well next to Georgia. And then let's go ahead and build some gas wells in that area. I know there's some gas that we can actually develop. That's going to take more than a month. However, this one is going to take about 2 or 3 months. Alright, so let's go to debt. We spent about $3 billion just to develop all that. And then let's go to farming. Trade balance is really up and down because of that. I do believe that is because growth is actually hard-coded into the game. Bosnia and Herzegovina, in the middle of a famine, are applying to become a member of the OECD. This may actually have been an emergency measure to try to save themselves so they can actually develop their economy. Let's go to transportation. Let's make a highway. Let's build a highway between Magula. Build one between Magula and Konoya or Kanya. Let's borrow. Let's get that done 11 months. We're going to be borrowing $1 billion for that. There was a terrorist attack at a shopping mall. We lost 4% in approval because of that. So I am actually was known by the terrorist services. Okay, and launching the constructions, and those were excellent choices, and they will encourage development. All right, so let's look. Rhodes Island. Here's a volcano. Here's Athens. Video game distress. And then Pyeongchang. Alright, so let's go over to our secret services. And God, we have a lot of... We don't have enough to watch over all of them, possibly. Jihadist Caliphate. Let's go ahead and put you guys under surveillance. And... By the way, I want to go ahead and give a big thank you and shout out to PTK for increasing the amount of oh crap. I want to give a big thank you to PTK for actually being a patron for me and actually increasing the amount he actually gives to me monthly. Oh, I know exactly what the cut. Alright, it's going to save us about $3 billion. That actually put us over the excess. Damn, $5 million. I'm gonna give him 7. Let's check our inflation. 7.2%.
Our team is in a statement.
GDP per capita. Looks like people are making $20 more every month. Members, wait. Terrorist organization threaten tourists. And let's go ahead and actually dismantle 300 fossil energy plants. And what else am I going to do? I'm actually going to increase public safety and security service of the head of state funding. And justice, I'm actually just going to go ahead and give total independence of the justice. Alright, so go with taxation. $87 billion. I actually might increase that by another 1/4%. Civil servant, and average is actually 621. It's been more than a month since our services have been receiving daily letters of threat from the Turkish Shiite resistance forces. Even if the style is bombastic, the various threats thrown at yourself show a certain aggressiveness that we shouldn't underestimate. I've taken measures to enforce security and engage additional personnel for checking the mail. In before someone actually puts a cyanide in the thing. Okay, that wasn't a cabinet member. Usually whenever there's an assassination, I usually like to check to make sure it wasn't a cabinet member. President of the Maldives. I'm just gonna go ahead and refuse that meeting. Oh god, he looks lanky. Inflation is definitely going down, especially for our measures of increasing the tax investigation. I am going to go over to police. And let's see what kind of legislation. Oh, I don't want to arrest the personality. Regulate speed limits. I'm going to go ahead and decrease the age for the driver's license. Ooh, looks like our people are against it. Security, but young people like it. See what other police legislation we can actually enact. No, I don't want to click that. Level of ID checks strong. Blood level, I could increase that to 0.8, which is actually the maximum blood level for the United States, or I can just increase it to 0.6. Alcohol modifies perception and has an effect on the central nervous system as soon as the blood alcohol level exceeds 0.5 for most consumers. Yeah, I'm going to leave it at 0.5. Prostitution is legal and regulated. Regulate the speed limits. I don't think so. And let's see what other budget aspects I can actually increase. Go ahead and put more money into cybersecurity. 212 million, that's good. And we have Syrian troop movements and Mediterranean. In this area right here, 2,000 Syrian troops are actually on our borders. I can leave them be because I know they're actually just gonna leave.
Faced with this threat, I can.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and accept that. Oh, they killed some ISIS.
I really think.
Yeah, let's go ahead and send a message of disapproval.
The bill has been.
And we just abolished national service. It actually does it. Moving about 1,500 troops and 7 commandos and 20 tanks. You can actually see them taking the highway. Man, highways were the best addition that the developers of this game actually put in. Speed is the future. I can't actually build a train. I'm actually going to borrow a little bit of money to do that. North Korea, no. New season in HD. Let's go to transportation, and let's go to high-speed train. And let's pause it for one. Build a train from Tunceli all the way to Donna. It's going to be $13 billion. Let's go ahead and borrow $5 billion, $5.5 billion to get that done in 15 months. And that's going to be $22 billion by the end of the project. So let's go to debt. Let's actually go to the next day. And police union leader has actually been taken hostage. However, I'm going to go ahead and check a couple of things. Let's go to file, place under surveillance, and let's go to the rest. See what they're currently going through. Cancel. British resistance. Shiites. Surveillance. Revolutionary League. There's literally nothing. Jihadist Caliphate? Oh, here we go. Up, browse sites with sexual content. Time to... I wonder if I can actually arrest him if he actually browses sites with sexual content and whenever I have pornography illegal. Wonder if that actually happens, if I can actually do that. Took a bicycle ride near a school. Saw a violent film. Browse sites with sexual content, and gone to the baker's twice in one day. Alright, so... Interior crocodile alligator. I drive a Chevrolet movie theater. I'm going to go ahead and increase our cyber analyst to 1,000. What's going on, Kenzo? I'm going to go ahead and go for a silver cyber protection. Yeah, I'm going to go for a silver cyber protection plan. It's only going to be $7 billion over the next 5 years. Let's go to debt, see how much money we're supposed to borrow. We're still at $1 billion. Cyber protection engaged. And actually, at the same time, while we're actually going after that cyber protection plan, we're going to go ahead and do citizen awareness on cybersecurity. Hell yeah, Kenzo. Waste public funds, of course. Alright, we now going through a PR program. 34,000 are dead in Bosnia and Herzegovina. We've already given them $11 million to try to help them through that famine. However, they're not going to be able to cover as fast as we thought. Army. Manage arms embargoes. What if I want to ban the sale of arms to Syria? Is that already done? Nope. I can actually put a total ban on them. And we now banned the sale of arms. Human Solidarity Foundation's president supports the head of state. Received a long letter from the Human Sharing Solidarity Foundation president saluting your bill to render justice completely independent of the executive power. Even specified for your attention, the head of state has all our support for this policy aimed at making Turkey a great democracy. Law and justice has passed.
And the law has been passed. Prospective.
Let's go ahead and keep watching over our debt situation. It seems to be over at a flat $1 billion. Public debt has actually gone up in the time before our quarterly loan, which we are actually 1 month away from. Our public debt has gone up by less than 1%. However, look at that. We're now nearly at 30% of our GDP is being covered by the debt. Immigration. How many illegals do we have? We do not have any illegals. Integration policies monitored and or moderated and balanced. Urbanization rate 72% is actually going down. It's about to be 71%. Gross national happiness is going up, sort of. Not really familiar with that. What else? We have contraception rate 73%. Birth rate is 15%. Or is 15 out of 100. Or 1,000. So, out of every 1,000 inhabitants, there are 15 that are actually having babies. However, that number can fluctuate up and down. I can go ahead and build the maximum amount of health, construction, and let's go to maternity centers. Let's go ahead and build 100, or actually let's go for 50 or 70, under $1 billion. Let's go ahead and build that. It's going to be $600 million. I am actually increasing my budget deficit, which is not good. However, I do want to do these spending plans. Wow, this is my stock market, 119,000. Growth rate is at about 4.9%. Nearly 5% growth rate. We're going to go ahead and accept a meeting from the President of the United States. Istanbul, 9.4 million. 3.4 million. This is actually the second capital. I do believe it is actually relevant with the United States as well. The United States has several cities that are actually have a bigger population than the capital of Washington, D.C., which is obviously New York with 8 million people, Chicago with 2 million people, Los Angeles, basically any major city in the United States, including Dallas. There's a lot of natural gas in the Georgian border. Yes, I know. I've already been developing that region. Actually, I have an oil rig just off of the territorial waters of Georgia, and I've also built several oil rigs here. They are actually already completed. 105,000 tow and 1.7 million tow. I wish Eversim actually cut Georgia into one more province. This province right here. I'm actually familiar with it in Superpower. However, Georgia is only split up into 3 provinces, which is the Georgia, the mainland of Georgia, and then there's South Ossetia, and then there is Abkhazia. These regions right here are actually breakaway regions. They are actually sort of controlled by the Russians. However, they are also independent, and Georgia grants them near full autonomy. And they are actually very, very contested between the actual Republic of Georgia and the republics of South Ossetia and Abkhazia. The Russians actually support them because, of course, the Russians, I do believe, are the only goal. I don't think it's like I know why the Russians are honestly doing these things. The Russians are doing it because they want to destabilize their neighbors and make sure that they're not going to be stable enough to join places like the European Union. I could actually start a Georgia series in which the goal of it is actually going to be, for one, getting the Russians to leave, 2, growing my economy and growing the military, and 3, joining the European Union would be a very big goal. Let's go ahead and check on the famine in Bosnia-Herzegovina. 474 people are injured because of the famine. However, 40,600 are dead. Law has been rejected. I am unfamiliar with what law I tried to pass. Our deficit is starting to grow a little bit. Oh. That was the driver's license law that I tried to pass. Oh, I know how to kind of keep my economy in control. Let's go ahead and it's only going to be $1.4 billion, a little less than what I wanted it to be. We have support from our own party, so that is good. I could go for that income tax exoneration for private retirement schemes. Employees save for their own pensions as they won't get enough from the system of redistribution. You could go for a total one, or I could start a retirement pension. Could actually do that in China. However, the growing cost and the lowering costs would actually literally differentiate between the amount of people entering the retirement population. Nothing to report with Syria. What map is this? I wonder what map this is. Unfamiliar. Maybe Russia. Currency, we are now 6.7% inflation. Let's go ahead and go to education. Let's go to freedom of the teachers. Inspection and monitoring of school programs. However, I could just censor it on delicate questions, which is questions against the state. Let's go ahead and enter this summit with the President of the United States. He wants to sell me or purchase tobacco from me, actually. Yeah, I'll go ahead and see what happens. Let's go ahead and enter a sales contract with them. Automobiles, building, housing, and roadway. Let's go ahead and 178, 141, 141, 133, 124. We're going to go ahead and accept that. $7.4 billion, nearly $7.5 billion. In search of funding, our party wants to do fundraisers and get donors to actually give us money. Go ahead and check the status of those contracts. The building, housing, and roadway contract is actually a good contract. Only create a few jobs, however. However, it is actually very profitable, and selling more of it will bring me more profits. So that is actually the profit margin that I actually like to concentrate on now. It is actually very important to making a good contract. Let's go to police. Let's go ahead and shoot for 400,000 police officers. And we are now nearing the month of April. Let's go ahead and see what our next loan is going to look like. 0.7, so that our loan would actually only be $700 million. Which is not good because we're going to be incurring debt. However, it's not going to be as big. Even with all the borrowing I've actually been doing, especially borrowing like $5 billion just to build this train right here, even with a deficit, that is actually surprising me that actually we are able to, oh, we actually have an excess. So with that excess, let's go ahead and increase spending for our healthcare system. Let's go to legislation and actually change this. Let's go for that. Congratulations, my popularity. And let's increase the spending for reimbursement visits to the doctor. Actually, let's increase spending for that. That's going to be about $10 billion. That actually put our deficit at 1.26%. I actually got caught off guard because of that. Because I had an excess, then I had a deficit, then I just grew my deficit by even more. So that was on my part right there. So let's see how much debt we're going to be incurring. $680 million. So let's actually go to the next quarter and see how much debt we actually incur. So I'm going to go ahead and let this roll for a day. $911 million of debt we just incurred, nearly $1 billion. So our debt just grew, which actually our debt originally was 29.38%. It has actually now grown to 32.9% because of the amount of borrowing we've actually been doing. So let's actually go over to budget. Let's go over to here. And let's look at our public debt. It has actually grown by about $30 billion because of all that borrowing we have actually been doing from ourselves. So in a second, actually, I'm going to go ahead and read through all of these notifications I'm getting. Old people are starting to like me. Seniors are in danger. The purchasing power about... So basically, they wanted me to establish a pension for old people. Income tax exoneration, so it's a total income tax exoneration. We're going to go ahead and come over here. Debt in the United States. It's actually interesting because Eversim actually used to put the public debt of the United States to like $14 trillion, and I don't know why they did that. So actually, in this new update, they actually put it at the actual amount that it's at, which is $20 trillion. I don't know why they did that. Honestly, it was actually very weird, and having a $14 trillion debt as the United States gave you a lot of leeway. However, they actually did correct that and put it at the correct amount at the beginning of 2018, which was 20.04 trillion, or $20.4 trillion, which actually the national debt of the United States right now is actually at $21 trillion. However, compared to the rest of the world, compared to the national debt of Greece, Greece has a national debt of $343 billion. Italy actually, I think, has the highest in the world. Not in the world, well, Italy, I believe, has the highest in Europe, with a public debt of $2.5 trillion. I don't know what Italy has been doing. However, I am actually gonna check on that in a second. Portugal has $262 billion of debt, and the average European Union debt is actually $445 billion, and then the world average is $348 billion. Debt, honestly, is actually very, very interesting to me. Let's go ahead and check how much we owe to other countries now. Japan is now our largest debtor. We now owe Japan $58.4 billion, while we only owe the United States $46.8 billion. I don't know why Japan is lending us money. It's weird. Oh, our deficit, oh god. Our financial situation is starting to implode, from all of the spending I've kind of been doing. So I think it's starting to bite me in the ass. Next quarterly loan is set to be $1 billion, but our deficit has actually increased to 2.1% of the GDP. I may enact austerity on that thing I actually did. I could decrease it by 1 star, which would actually save us to $3.2 billion. I will try to see if our economy will actually recover from this. Meeting request from President of Gabon. No, I'm not going to meet with him. Previous estimate of 5.17. Invade Syria in a bit. Nah, Syria is already under attack by like all sides. If you guys are ever curious on why I never really go to war in these games, honestly, I'm not really a pacifist. I mean, usually the only times I ever go to war, and I've gone to war several times in my YouTube series, just like the it was with Turkey, and Russia actually attacked Japan, and I defended Japan and went to war with Russia and actually lost 10,000 of my army. And then the United States, I went to war with Morocco because of their invasion and attack on Spain. Oh, look at that! There's actually a bridge between Gibraltar and Tétouan in Morocco. So Spain is actually going to have to deal with an invasion of Gibraltar. Actually, that's actually the United Kingdom. I just realized that. Democratic Socialists in Spain. So let's go ahead and check on our birth rate, actually. See if that's actually going up. Our deficit is jumping all over the damn place. Next quarterly loan is projected to be $2 billion.
ask. I know it's rather delicate, but you see, my nephew...
I'm going to see what happens whenever I accept that. Unemployment has dropped to 7% from 13%. Alright, so today on Long Island, we are joined by our break at the hands of MS-13. That was a tweet by President Donald Trump. Actually, what is y'all's opinion on the controversy between the Democrats actually basically not really protecting, I'm not really going to say that they were protecting MS-13, but whenever Donald Trump actually tried to call MS-13 animals, what is y'all's opinion on how the Democrats reacted on trying to say that he was calling immigrants animals, and then it came out and got revealed that he was actually calling MS-13 animals, and then media just basically stopped. Alright, here's a container ship from the Netherlands actually transporting goods and exports to Romania. Prime Minister of Lithuania actually wants to have a meeting. Let's go ahead and accept that meeting. I am actually, speaking of docks, I'm actually going to come over here. No more controls. Can't go working like slaves. We spend our time with tax inspectors whose ongoing controls disrupt and paralyze businesses. I've had my third check this year and never a fine. I figured my accountants, my 3 secretaries, I spend more time with the inspector than the board of directors. Same time is true for all sectors. If this continues, we'll go bankrupt. All right, let's build a export port. We do not have one in this region right here. However, where is our only port? Where is it? Apparently we have a port somewhere. Oh, there it is. Okay, so let's build it in this region right here. Commissioner security clearance restored, met with Mueller's team a second time, breaking. Yeah, I actually saw that before I actually started live streaming. Yeah, basically, the son-in-law of President Donald Trump actually just got his security reinstated. Speaking of that, if you guys, I'm actually going to be doing a little bit of advertising. I'm actually joining a project with a friend of mine, in which we are actually going to start a news website called IZC Politics. My YouTube is basically going to be linked on there, and so me and a friend of mine are actually going to start that very, very soon. I'm actually trying to get in contact with him to try and see where that is going to go. However, there are a couple of things, and I am actually going to be writing articles for it as well. I may actually write a couple of articles talking about maybe the elections that happened in Texas last night, in which Lupe Valdez, and I have actually met Lupe Valdez one time. However, it wasn't really a direct conversation. It was just like I saw her at an event. But Lupe Valdez has actually won the Democratic nomination for the Democratic Party in Texas to actually face off against Governor of Texas Greg Abbott in the November 2018 elections. Lupe Valdez is actually the first Hispanic, or how everyone else says it. I don't know the difference. I know the difference. I just don't know really if it's offensive or not whenever you don't call them that. But she's the first Latina to actually get a major party nomination for the governor office in the state of Texas. But yeah, guys, go to I will be doing a little bit of advertising, and I will actually do a video for it, an exclusive video for IZC Politics, and I will actually give you guys the Twitter handle as of now, because there are actually things that he actually posts, the guy who actually runs IZC. So let's look right here, and come over here. That is the link right there, guys. The Twitter handle is @IZCPolitics. So yeah, go and follow IZC right there, and that is where new news updates are actually going to be doing, and we will be releasing the website very, very soon. We're still doing testing for the website, and such. I am actually going to save this game, and I will actually see you guys in another live stream. I may live stream tomorrow. I do not know. However, I will be doing another episode of the People's Republic of China, in which, again, we are actually dealing with a lot of public debt. And I'm actually doing a lot of spending and a lot of projects in China. However, I am also dealing with the deficit and the debt of the People's Republic of China, which is at a staggering $2 trillion, I believe. But other than that, guys, if you guys like this episode, go ahead and leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. And I will see you guys in another episode of the People's Republic of, what am I saying? Am I actually going to be able to... Oh, I thought I would be able to do something like that, where I can actually click on a country and stuff like that. But guys, if you guys like this live stream of me playing Turkey, leave a like on this live stream, and I will see you guys in another live stream where I will continue playing Turkey. And other than that, guys, I will see you guys in the next one.